At the beginning of the movie we meet a clever thief named Frank Morris. He's been caught by the police for robbing a bank and is now being transported to Alcatraz, the world's most secure prison, to serve a life sentence. Alcatraz is built on a small island surrounded by the ocean. This means even if someone manages to escape from the prison, there's no way out because water blocks every direction. That's why Alcatraz is known as the most secure prison in the world. A place where only the most dangerous and high-profile criminals are locked away. But soon that reputation would be challenged. Because now Frank Morris, a criminal who had already escaped from several prisons before, had just arrived. This time, though even Morris felt uneasy, Alcatraz wasn't like the others, it was a fortress. Still, Morris wasn't planning to spend the rest of his life here. From the very first day he began thinking about how to break out. When he entered the prison he was thoroughly searched from head to toe and then locked in his cell. A guard looked at him and said, "Welcome to Alcatraz." And that's where the real story begins. A loud bell rings and the cell doors open automatically. The officers shout orders and all the prisoners march out. The discipline in this prison is extremely strict. Prisoners must stay clean, follow routines and return to their cells on time. Everyone wears the same uniform and they all line up for breakfast. While eating, Morris meets another prisoner named Litmus. Morris looks confused and says, "I couldn't even find a fork, how am I supposed to eat these noodles?" Litmus replies, "This isn't your home, kid. Eat what you're given and keep quiet." Then a dangerous prisoner named Wolf begins to taunt Morris. Everyone in the prison hates Wolf, he bullies the inmates and has multiple assault cases against him. He's one of the most feared men inside Alcatraz. During breakfast, Litmus asks Morris for some food. Morris, being polite, hands over his plate. But when he looks under the table he notices something strange. Litmus isn't eating the food himself, he's feeding it to a rat instead. That night a guard comes and takes Morris to meet the warden. When Morris arrives the warden looks at him and says, "I've heard you're a smart man, clever and resourceful. But all that intelligence means nothing here. Many men like you have come and gone but no one has ever escaped from Alcatraz. Here everyone follows my rules strictly. In this prison someone can visit you only once in 2 months, and only if the warden is in a good mood. The warden is very strict and punishes prisoners harshly, even for small mistakes. He warns everyone, don't even try to escape from here, if you do you'll be torn apart." Morris smiles and says, "No sir. Who would even think of escaping when you're here?" But deep inside, Morris had already started planning his escape since the first day. Later he found a chance and quietly stole the warden's nail cutter. It looked useless but Morris knew that even a small tool like this could help him escape. He hid the nail cutter inside his Bible. The next day Wolf tried to bully Morris again in the bathroom. But this time Morris fought back and beat him badly. After that Morris became famous in the prison, and everyone began to respect and fear him. Soon he got a job in the library. There he met a prisoner named English, a senior inmate who had been in Alcatraz for many years for killing 2 men. English knew everything about the prison, every hallway, every secret. He even knew about Morris's fight with Wolf. He gave Morris some books to deliver to other prisoners' cells. Later Morris went to the yard where prisoners were playing games. There he met a calm man named Doc who was painting a picture. Doc was a kind and quiet person who had been in prison for a long time. Painting was his only way to stay sane. He told Morris, "People can lose their minds in a place like this, but painting helps me stay normal." Morris looked at his painting and asked, "Why did you paint this flower? It's not even in your shirt." Doc smiled and said, "That flower is my happiness, it only exists in my art, not in real life." When Morris looked to the side he saw English standing above. He started walking toward him, but English's men stopped Morris from getting closer. English waves his hand, signaling his men to let Morris come closer. "He's one of us," he says. Morris sits beside him and quickly tells him everything, that he wants to escape and needs his help. English laughs loudly and says, "This isn't a prison, it's our grave. The only way out of here is to die, only then will your body leave this place." He continues, "Even if you somehow climb these tall walls, dodge the guards and escape the prison, the freezing sea outside will kill you. So stop dreaming and quietly serve your sentence. At least you'll stay alive." But Morris didn't listen. He had made up his mind no matter what, he would escape. That night an officer told Morris that he would start carpentry work from the next day and earning 50 cents an hour. Morris agreed right away, hoping to find some useful tool for his escape. The next day, Morris asked another prisoner named Litmus if there was any way to get out. Litmus laughed and said, "Every cell has an air vent. If you crawl through it, you might reach the roof and escape." Then he smiled and walked away. Just then Doc warned Morris, Wolf is coming your way." Moments later, Wolf appeared with a knife and tried to stab him. Morris quickly wrapped his coat around his arm and started fighting back. A guard rushed in to stop them, but Wolf attacked the guard instead. Everything went out of control. The watchtower guard fired shots to stop the fight. Morris didn't even know there was a guard up there until then. From that moment, he started observing the prison very carefully. After the fight, both Morris and Wolf were sent to a dark place, where prisoners were kept in isolation and tortured all night. Before leaving, Wolf threatened him, "You'll die by my hands." That night, Morris suffered terrible torture. His body was weak, but his spirit stayed strong. After spending 2 long weeks in the dark cell, Morris is finally brought back. Litmus, his friend, sends a small message through his pet mouse. "Welcome back, Morris." A few days later, a new prisoner named Charlie is brought in and placed in the cell next to Morris. They quickly become friends, and soon Morris introduces Charlie to his other friends. Meanwhile, the warden suddenly starts checking every cell without warning. When he reaches Doc's cell, he's surprised to see dozens of paintings hanging on the walls, even one of himself. At first he smiles, but the next day he gives a cruel order to throw away all of Doc's paintings. This breaks Doc completely. Painting was his only joy, the only thing that kept him alive. Morris tries to comfort him, saying, "It's okay, you can make more," but Doc doesn't recover. Morris tells a guard, "Please watch Doc, he looks very disturbed." The guard snaps, "Mind your business." Later, Doc and Morris are given carpentry work. While working, Doc secretly puts something into Morris's pocket. Then suddenly, in anger and despair, Doc picks up an axe and cuts off 3 of his own fingers and shouting, "I don't need fingers that can't paint." The guards quickly grab him and drag him away. When Morris checks his pocket, he finds the same flower Doc used to paint. His last message, that they had taken away his happiness. Morris picks up Doc's cut fingers, puts them in a box and says to the guard, "Give these to your warden, he'll be proud of his work." The next day, Morris notices a cockroach crawling into the air vent of his cell. That's when he realizes there could be a way out through those vents. Later, English tells him that Doc cut off his fingers because the warden banned him from painting. That's why he couldn't bear it anymore. Morris gets angry after hearing this. The next day in the dining hall, the warden asks, "Why are you defending that old man so much?" Morris says calmly, "I'm not defending anyone," and walks away. At the table, he meets 2 brothers, John and Clarence, and it turns out they already know each other. They were part of Morris's old gang from another prison. Now escaping from prison didn't seem impossible to John anymore. Both brothers were clever like Morris, and together the 3 started planning how to escape. That afternoon, Charlie's girlfriend came to meet him, while English's daughter came to visit her father. English became emotional when he saw her. She had grown up so much and he felt guilty for missing her childhood. Meanwhile, Charlie's wife told him that his mother was very sick and might not live for more than a month. Hearing this, Charlie became worried and wanted to escape too. But before he could say more, the guard ended visiting time. That night, Charlie told Morris, "If you're planning to escape, please include me." The next day, Morris gathered Charlie, John and Clarence to share his plan. He said, "Every cell has an air vent that opens to the ceiling. Because this island is surrounded by salt water, the walls are weak. I already started digging with a nail cutter. If I keep digging slowly, I can reach the roof. Once I reach there, I'll figure out how to escape." John asked, "But what if the guards notice we're not in our beds?" Clarence replied, "Don't worry, I have an idea. I know the prison barber, he can give us real hair. Using that, we'll make fake heads and put them on our beds. The guards will think we're sleeping." The only problem left was how to cross the sea. Morris looked at John and said, "You work in the clothing area. There are raincoats there, steal a few and we'll use them to make a raft and life jackets to cross the water." Charlie said, "Give me a job too, I want to help." Morris smiled and said, "You'll keep watch while we dig the vent. When it's your turn, I'll take your place." Everyone agreed and started working that night. But digging with a nail cutter was extremely hard. The wall was strong and Morris had to use a lot of force. His hands even got injured, but he didn't give up. Slowly he kept digging bit by bit. The next day during lunch, Morris tells his friends that he needs a bigger tool for digging. Using just a nail cutter is too hard, it takes too much effort and barely scratches the wall. Then while holding a spoon in his hand, Morris gets an idea. He rubs the spoon on his shoe to make it look dirty and calls the guard over. "This spoon is dirty," he says. "Can I get another one?" Seeing this, the other prisoners also complain about their spoons. The guard doesn't suspect anything and agrees to replace them. He walks toward the table where another officer is sitting. While the guard is busy changing the spoons, John distracts him by starting a conversation. Taking advantage of this, Morris quietly picks up 2 spoons instead of 1 and hides one in his pocket. After the meal, he heads straight back to his cell, keeping the extra spoon hidden. That night, when English comes to give Morris a book, Morris asks if he can find some welding equipment. English immediately realizes that Morris is still planning to escape. He sighs and says, "I already told you this is useless. You'll get caught and maybe even die. In all my years here, I've never tried to escape because it's impossible. But if you're that stubborn, try it." Morris ignores his warning. He's determined. The next day he meets Litmus and asks for a matchbox. He promises, "If you help me, I'll give my share of food to your rat every day." Litmus happily agrees because he loves his pet mouse. That night, Litmus secretly passes Morris the matchbox. Back in his cell, Morris removes the handle from his nail cutter, planning to turn it into a small shovel. He breaks the spoon and attaches it to the cutter's handle. Then, using the matchstick's flame, he welds the 2 pieces together. Now he has a homemade digging tool, sharp and strong. As Morris starts digging near the air vent, Charlie stands guard outside the cell. If a prison officer walks nearby, Charlie will blow a whistle to warn Morris immediately. While keeping watch, Charlie accidentally falls asleep. Just then a guard starts walking toward their cell. Luckily, English notices this and quickly steps in to distract the guard. Hearing English's voice, Charlie wakes up, but he's so nervous that he can't even blow the whistle. In his panic, he accidentally drops something on the floor. Morris immediately understands the signal. He quickly covers the air vent and lies down on his bed, pretending to be asleep. The guard stops and sniffs the air. "Is there a burning smell here?" he asks suspiciously. Morris calmly replies, "Sir, who would dare smoke in your presence? Not me, I'm already terrified enough." The guard smirks, pleased with the compliment, and walks away. As soon as he leaves, Morris removes more concrete around the air vent. But then he notices something. The vent cover is fixed with metal screws. He'll need a sharp tool to cut them. Whenever Morris gets a chance to go outside, he secretly throws away the broken cement pieces to avoid suspicion. The next day, while working in the carpentry area, he spots a small metal strip sharp enough to cut through the screws. He quietly picks it up. Charlie worries and asks, "How will you take that past the metal detector?" Morris smiles confidently, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." When Morris walks out, the metal detector beeps loudly. The guard stops him and says, "Why are you carrying this?" Morris quickly replies, "Sir, I thought I could use it to hang my clothes." The guard frowns, takes the metal piece from him, checks him thoroughly, and lets him go. But Morris is no ordinary prisoner. He's clever. He had actually hidden another metal strip in his shoe and only gave up one to the guard. That night, Morris uses the hidden metal strip to cut through the screws of the ventilation grill. The vent is finally open. Now it's time for the next step, creating fake heads to fool the guards. Each of the 4 men takes responsibility. Charlie asks a guard for some paint, saying he wants to make art. The guard agrees and brings it for him. Morris grinds the broken concrete into powder. John collects hair from the prison barber. Clarence gathers old books and magazines from the library. Using all these materials, Morris begins crafting a dummy head. He shapes it with wet paper and powder, then paints it carefully. Finally, he attaches the fake hair and the result is amazing. The dummy head looks so real that even up close, it's hard to tell the difference. Morris also made fake cardboard boxes to further strengthen his plan, so that no one would suspect that someone had dug a tunnel in the front wall. One night, Morris decided to go upstairs alone, for which he placed the fake skull made by him on the bed and covered it with a blanket up to the neck. After which he comes out of the tunnel with the fake cardboard. There, Morris holds onto the pipes and slowly climbs up to the roof. On the other hand, Charlie is standing guard outside. After reaching the roof, Morris sees that there is an iron grill above, which he cannot reach even by jumping. Meanwhile, a guard comes and asks Charlie, "Why are you painting till so late at night? And why did your friend Morris go to bed so early today?" Charlie says, "Yes, sir, Morris was tired today doing carpentry work, so he went to sleep early." Then suddenly the guard's stick falls down from his hand. Picking it up, he notices that Morris's hair looks very strange. Charlie starts trembling with fear that he is out of work today. The guard reaches into Morris's cell and touches his hair. So Morris asks, "What happened, sir? Is my hair so beautiful?" Luckily, Morris came down and lay down there in time. The next day, Morris tells his friends that there is a way to the roof, but it is tied to a grill. And that grill is at a very high altitude. "I need help from another friend." Then John says, "I've completely dug my vent. I will also reach there tonight." Both of them will open the grill together. That night, Morris and John reach the roof through their vents. John picks up Morris and Morris grabs the grill. John sees that this iron grill is very strong and is completely welded. There is only one way to remove it, and that is to cut it with a drill machine. The next day in music class, everyone is playing their own instrument. Then Morris's eyes fall on a small fan kept there. Seeing this, Morris feels that he can work on it and make a drill machine, for which he tells Charlie to somehow hide this fan from here. Charlie conveniently hides this small fan in his instrument box. When Charlie comes out, the guards also check his instrument box. But they don't see the fan, and Charlie is allowed to go. As soon as Morris gets hold of that fan, he starts working on it, and after several hours, Morris makes a drill machine from that fan. That night, Morris and Charlie climb onto the roof and start cutting the iron rod with a drill.